When it comes to porchetta, should you make your own? Or like this one, if you find it at your local grocery store or Costco for under 20 bucks, is it worth just picking it up pre-made? We're gonna answer that question today. Let's fire it up. Hey, I'm James from Smoking Dad Barbecue, and today is all about the porchetta. Now, normally the traditional way that we would make this is get an entire pork belly, peel off the skin, set it aside, and then using the loin, flatten that out so we're using an entire sort of even surface, and then add our layers of flavor. So some Italian seasonings, maybe some parsley, some sage, maybe some zest of lemon or something like that. Sometimes even a really spicy sausage is a little bit of a surprise kick that I like to throw in ours if we make them. And then you'd bundle that all up, wrap it with the skin, tie it tight with some butcher's twine, truss it up, and then throw it on your JoeTisserie. But when I walked through the store, Costco, we were just doing some groceries, they happen to have an entire end cap dedicated to pre-made porchetta, under 20 bucks, and I just had to, try it and see, is the grocery store version, this one from Costco, worth saving all that time, energy, and effort to just be able to pick it up, throw it in, throw it on the grill, and see if we can get anywhere close to the same result. So that's what we're in for today. You've joined me just as we're getting ready to fire up our grill. Let me move the camera a little bit closer. We'll build our fire. Okay, I've already cleaned out our Joe, so I'm just gonna throw in a piece of smoking wood. And in general, for smoking wood, some of you guys ask this question, regularly, how much smoking wood should I add? And since we're gonna basically have, about a half basket, or not even that, sort of just banked to the back to make room for our rotisserie to be able to cook sort of indirectly near those coals, but not over them directly, I generally don't want to go more than 10% of my capacity with smoking wood, the other 90% charcoal. So if I were to add 2 or 3 more of these chunks and go a half basket, that would be getting up to the point where almost 50% of my basket is wood instead of charcoal. And then I'm gonna start getting some temperature control problems, might get some kerosite taste if we're not getting clean combustion. So I'd much rather have less wood burning cleanly than too much wood causing some temperature control problems and or some bad taste. Anyways, enough of that. Let's go ahead and throw some charcoal on, fast forward, fire it up, and I'll rejoin you when we're getting ready to add our JoeTisserie to our porchetta. So I'm taking some time here, and I'll just jump out of fast forward to explain why. So I'm not playing Tetris with the charcoal pieces. What I want to be able to do is have them to the back, and I want to start my fire on the bottom half area, because what's going to happen is I'm naturally getting the airflow coming in through our bottom vent, and that's going to draw the fire towards the back and up. So to help get the cleanest burn and spread out our heat evenly, lighting right down here in the lower area when you're using a half basket and the JoeTisserie is one of the best ways to get clean combustion on that piece of smoking wood that we've got buried right here at the back. So let's go ahead and fire it up. All right, so now we've got our fire going. I've got our top vent all the way open, our bottom vent all the way open, and I'm just gonna wait till I see 300, 350 degrees before making any adjustments. Then we'll grab the ring for our JoeTisserie, drop that on there, adjust our bottom vent down to a single finger, and I'll show you the top vent position once we're at that stage. I'll see you in a couple minutes. All right, heat is building quickly in our Kamado Joe now that we're getting clean combustion. So we've gone from white, kind of nasty smoke billowing out to see nothing, but you put your hand over that and there is some heat. So it's time to settle things down. I think we could still use a little bit more heat in our dome in order to get some of that infrared cooking. So before throwing things on and the JoeTisserie, I'm gonna go ahead and make my adjustments now. So I'm gonna go down to 1 finger on the bottom, close our vent here, and I'm gonna go a little bit more aggressive just again, because we're gonna come down from about 450 into 350. 350 would be this first line. I'm just gonna go ahead and split the difference between the second and third lines. So that's just going to ease us a little bit below that 350 degrees. And so I'm gonna take another 5 minutes here and just wait. And that's because if I were to put the JoeTisserie on right now, having the dome open, here we go, let's get a little flash. No flashback for you on camera. Is that this fire is in inferno mode, and putting pork over that and trying to handle everything over those open flames would be really difficult. Plus, by not having our dome completely heat soaked, we're missing out on one of the great advantages of cooking on your Kamado, and that's the multiple different ways that it transfers heat to your food. You know, the most common one is conductive heat, which is if we're using a grill surface, soapstone or something like that, take a steak, it touches the stone, it's cooking, right? You're getting heat contact right from that hot surface. We're not doing that today, but we are doing the other two methods, and that's convection cooking, which is the hot air from our fire sort of passing up and around, as well as our infrared or radiant heat, which is what we're going to get from our dome. And so to really make sure that we take full advantage of this, you know, kind of UV type heat, just like if it was a nice day today, you get a sunburn, that's the same type of heat and energy transfer we want from our dome. So we're gonna let this heat soak a little bit longer, and a great way to help do that is to close the dome down a little bit below what you want, because you have a fire burning hotter than what you actually want for cooking and not enough room for that heat to escape. And so nowhere to go but be absorbed into those ceramics. So that's going to help us on all fronts. I'll rejoin you in a couple minutes. We're ready to install our JoeTisserie, load up our Porchetta, and add our meter probe, set it up for today's cook. All right, our grill has settled down. We're just about 325, 350. I don't want to touch that dome much longer, so that lets me know that we are nice and heat soaked. 350 degrees should be about that 1-2 seconds, and it starts to feel hot. If it's immediately you can't touch it, often that's a little bit too far, but that's going to be just fine for today's cook. Now this smoke we can still see. It's not white and billowy like it was before, but we just give that a smell, and that is nothing but the sweet smell of that oak that we buried, a piece of oak wood underneath our charcoal smoldering along. So I'm actually not worried about that color of smoke. This is still thin and blue in my book, so we're ready to start rocking and rolling. Let's open this up. I'll take you fast forward for all this, but the plan here is we're going to open it up, drop on our JoeTisserie, get our spit, our forks, slide it through our Porchetta here, add our probe, and get it spinning. So this will happen fast, but if you have any questions or anything I didn't cover, you can always reach me in the comments and be happy to answer that for you. All right, everything's on and spinning perfectly. Our meter is telling us that the ambient temperature is 350 degrees. Our dome's maybe reading just 4 or 5 degrees warmer than that. And so I think we've got a couple hours to kill. So I'm gonna go get a haircut, rejoin you, all fresh and trimmed. And I think, you know, I'm gonna budget, you know, at least an hour to 2 hours where there's absolutely nothing we have to do. The game plan as we start getting closer to that 140 degrees, what we're going to do, we're going to pull out our meteor probe, and if our outer crust still needs some extra development, we're going to go dome open and unleash inferno mode on this bad boy to help crisp up that outside. So hang tight, we'll see you when it's darker, and we're ready to go in about 2 hours time from now. And right on schedule at the 2 hour mark, we got our haircut, and our Porchetta is reading 140 degrees Fahrenheit on our meter. Let me bring the camera a little bit closer. I've got my Thermapen handy. We're gonna just check a few other spots around the roast, make sure it's done everywhere. And if it is, and our skin looks good, we're ready. And if that skin needs a little bit more time, we'll go ahead and cue up inferno mode to finish it off. Let's go take a look together. All right, I like how this looks. Don't know if their skin is not quite there yet. Let's go ahead and just pause. So that's also reading 140, 146, 138. So I'm okay kind of getting this up to the 145 range. But I want to now slow down the cooking. I actually don't want to do a whole lot more cooking versus just focusing on the exterior. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead, pull out our meter probe, And then I'm going to grab our ash tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rake some of those coals now that we had banked at the back a little bit more central. And I'm actually going to go a little bit heavier on the right side since it was reading just a few degrees cooler than the left. And then that way we can even out our finishing temperature here. That looks great. Let's give that a couple more minutes. I might even grab another piece of charcoal, just let that help increase inferno mode potential. Okay, I just went and grabbed a couple more pieces of big block. Let's just go ahead and drop those in. And normally you don't want to add charcoal mid-cook because what you're going to get is some of that smoke that's not good smoke. But we are now cooking with our dome open, and so there's just plenty of space for that first little bit of burn of our charcoal to escape, and it's not going to do anything to impact the flavor of our porchetta here. So we'll just let those ignite and add up a little bit more flames to kiss the outside until that's all set. All right, so as you may be able to tell either by looking or hearing, the sizzling sounds of Awesome Inferno Mode have done its work on the outside of our porchetta. So I'm gonna get this off now, take it inside, get some slices, and we're gonna do two different versions for our taste test. I'm gonna get a nice traditional slice, as well as chopping it up and putting on a sandwich with some melted provolone cheese. And I'll give you the verdict on both if our Costco porchetta does anything close to rivaling one that you can make at home. See you in a few minutes. Okay, the sandwiches aren't quite ready and I had to take Grill Puppy for a walk. So rather than keep you waiting and family waiting any longer for dinner, I brought out a couple of pieces to try. And that way we won't have any influence from the sandwich itself. I'm using a keto bread, so it's not that tasty. The family's got some nice fresh bread from the Italian bakery and they're cutting thick slices and it almost kills me not to try it, but I'm sticking to my diet plan. Anyways, just an opportunity to show you how quickly Grill Puppy's growing. She's just past the 6-month mark, but enough about that. Let's go ahead and do our taste test. You smell it, don't you? Yeah. So got a couple pieces here with the loin, the belly on the outside, as well as all of that seasoning. Let's dig in. So color me impressed, Costco. That is pretty good. Still don't, think it surpasses the best that we can do where we can control our ingredients. I can salt brine the fat cap ahead of time to dry it out even more and get an even crispier result. I really think that's the one thing that's holding this back from just being perfect compared to some of the do-it-yourself varieties, is that you're not getting that signature crunch, crispy outside. It's got some of it, but it could use a little bit more. So if I were to give this another try, I might actually, jump back 20, 30 degrees Fahrenheit and start Inferno mode even earlier, just knowing that this pre-marinated seasoned, pork belly doesn't respond the same way as one that we've treated ahead of time ourselves. Outside of that though, 20 bucks off the counter, no work involved, you're ready to go, and you got delicious dinner. That's an A+. So I'm gonna give that an A+ for convenience, and maybe a B+ in terms of the range of, from not so great to the best that we've ever had. Still a really great score. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please let YouTube know by smashing that like button, and let me know by hitting subscribe to catch future videos. Until next time, I'm James from Soaking Dead Barbecue signing off. Remember, don't be afraid to fire it up.